The reading is from St. Paul's letter to the Galatians.
Wisdom.
Brethren, when the time has fully come, God sent forth his Son, born of woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. And because you are sons, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but a son, and if a son, then also an heir of God through Christ.
Peace be unto you, the reader.
Alleluia. 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 Alleluia.
Wisdom arise, let us hear the holy gospel. Peace be with all.
And with your spirit.
The reading is from the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew. Let us be attentive.
Glory to you, O Lord. Glory to you.
When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of King Herod, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where's the one who's born King of the Jews? We've seen his star in the east, and we've come to worship him. When King Herod heard about this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Gathering together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he asked them where the Christ would be born. And they replied, In Bethlehem of Judea, for this is written through the prophet. You, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are in no way least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you shall come forth a ruler who will be shepherd of my people Israel. Herod privately called the wise men and learned from them exactly what time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go search diligently for the young child. When you found him, bring me word so that I may come and worship him. After listening to the king, they continued on their journey, and behold, the star which they had seen in the east was going ahead of them, until it came and stood over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were filled with tremendous joy. And entering the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Opening their treasures, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And then, having been warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they returned to their own country using another way.
Glory to you, O Lord. Glory to you.
Christ is born.
Glorify him.
The prophet Isaiah, in his first chapter, writes, The oxen knows its master, the donkey its master's crib, but Israel does not know me. My people do not understand. So, up here we don't have the donkey, but the donkey and the oxen are in the icons. And if you remember, even after the crucifixion, the disciples did not understand what it meant that Jesus had been born and that he was crucified. So he had to open the scriptures for them. Then they saw. I don't know if you've ever been around people in the process of their dying, but it's quite often, if a person has some days to prepare, that they go through a lot of their life. Their life comes up across their mind, and It's almost like a life review. Everything is there all at one time. If we think about the life of Christ from his birth to his crucifixion, resurrection, ascension, and waiting to the end of time, we're talking about something that is one piece, but it's taken thousands of years to unfold. In our culture, we want things instantly, and we're very connected now to getting more and more information. And we want whatever we want right now. And yet, the history of waiting for the Messiah to be born took centuries. And the people heard these prophecies. They waited, some of them, maybe many of them gave up waiting. When's it going to happen? One way of looking at faith is to realize that when you want something, if you pray one time and then you get upset that God didn't answer it or didn't give you what you want, it's not much faith. A nation that waits for 2,000 years for the Messiah has faith, and yet at this point that we heard the scripture this morning, nobody recognized that it was time. The time had come upon Israel and no one knew. And where was Christ born? In a little cave, out in nowhere, not heralded by kings, no newspapers, nothing. Nobody was there except his mother, Joseph, a donkey, maybe a couple of donkeys, and oxen, fulfilling the prophecy. Then we're told that angels appeared to some shepherds in the hills and invited them, and they brought their sheep. So God didn't leave Israel without a witness. He came to them, and he took these shepherds and brought them in. And then there was a strange group, the Magi, where we get our word magician. Who were the Magi? Well, you remember that when Israel was deported, they went to Babylon. Babylon is the land of the Magi. Babylon is the country that studied the stars, and they gave us our first constellations. Some of the names of those were changed by the Romans, but the basic ones were there. The Lion, Virgo. They watched the stars very carefully. They were scientists. I heard a distinction recently, which I really liked. It was very helpful. If you haven't seen the Star of Bethlehem, this little video by a lawyer who's done a great deal of astronomical study. It's fascinating, powerful film. But he says he got worried when he started looking for how to understand what the star was, because he started seeing that the constellations were important. And he said, I'm not having anything to do with astrology. I'm out. And then he realized there's a difference between studying the stars and what they show us and thinking that they have any charge of our life. Once he had that distinction, he started studying again, because he realized, oh my, God created the heavens. He put every star in the heavens. He knows exactly where they are and where they should be. He created all of nature to operate perfectly. And so he can testify through that, like in the Psalms. The heavens declare the glory of God. The firmament reveals his handiwork. There's no speech or language where their voices are not heard. Their voices have gone across the world, throughout all the earth. So now, this man traces, how did the Magi locate the child in Bethlehem? And why would they even come? Well, in Babylon, we know that Daniel the prophet, and you remember we always read about the 3 youths in the furnace and the angel that saved them. The Jews were in Babylon, and Daniel became very high in the court of the Persians. So it's quite possible that what happened was many of the Babylonian Jews came back to Israel when they built the second temple, and they were there for the next hundreds of years. But some of them didn't come back. They were integrated into the Jewish people were integrated into Persian culture and remained Jewish. So it would be now quite possible that these astronomers who studied the stars more carefully than any nation on earth were also interested if they saw something that said it suggests there's a king born in Israel. I won't go into all the details of this because you really should watch this if you haven't seen it, because not only does he locate it there, because we have mathematics now to make a star map of every moment of time for the past 2,000 years, so we know exactly how the stars were. Very interesting, because he also takes it and looks at what happened at the crucifixion. I've been thinking about the Magi this week because so much of Christianity, of all that we worship and we celebrate across the year, the whole of it, is given to us, on Sundays, maybe some other times if you're reading and saying your prayers, but you're getting 50 times more input from the culture around you than you are from the church. And so you will have a fight between the sweet little baby born in Bethlehem, and you put up your Christmas tree and give presents, and this is Christmas. You're not going to think about the incarnation, what it means that the first real human being who was in perfect accord with the divine will was born in order to save humanity, and then he was to be crucified. We have to have all of this like the person has a life review of their whole life when they're dying. We are preparing for the moment we meet Christ by whether we feed on and absorb the truth of the Christian faith, or we take culture and gorge on that and die. Because the culture cannot give us hope. The culture cannot save us. Our politics, our economics, our possessions cannot save us. The thing that matters to us is the heart, where our personhood is, our freedom to love and be loved. This is the only place we're possibly saved, by the love of the Trinity who comes to us in Christ. So we have a battle inside between all the felt sense of the ordinary cultural world that becomes sentimental, instantaneous gratification and shapes us more than Christ does. This is one thing. But I wanted to share with you this morning that I had some thoughts. I thought, Magi, okay. Well, did they come there, Well, I find it very consoling that on Mount Athos at St. Paul's Monastery, there are 28, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches wide, gold, filigreed, unique little emblems with frankincense and myrrh beads mixed together around them. And they keep them in reliquaries. They've separated them for safety's sake. But there are 28 of them extant and 62 of these beads. And they say that they're very fragrant and that many times, like the saints' bones, there are miracles that happen. The history of this is that it was taken to Constantinople around 400. The Holy Mother had given it to the virgins of the temple. Somehow it was preserved. Emperor Arcadius took them to Constantinople in 400. Then in the Crusades in 1204, the Fourth Crusade, they were taken. But then when Emperor Michael Palaeologos became emperor, he got them back. Then when the Turks invaded in 1453, it turns out Murad II had a Christian wife. Fascinating. I guess a Muslim with a Christian wife. Anyway, she was the daughter of a Serbian prince, a ruling person, and he built the monastery of St. Paul, and Maria, his daughter, the wife of the Muslim king, had these, and she gave them to St. Paul. So they returned, and now they're kept there. So we know the Magi made it to Bethlehem, and we know they located it through the stars, but also through the inspiration of God. And one of the things that the icon shows us at Christmas is that God doesn't leave anybody without hope. He goes to shepherds who weren't doing anything but taking care of their sheep. And he goes to those who are studying the stars as the greatest scientists of their day in search of what they would tell them. St. Gregory of Nyssa says, if you are searching for God, you found him. If you're searching for God, you have found him. If you're not searching for God, this is pretty important. Because God is the most important reality of our life. And he came to us as a man while remaining God. And everything that he did from the birth of with his mother, who had no physical husband, to his crucifixion, his resurrection, and his ascension, are our hope.